oxygen. Now, obviously, if all the trees become extinct and all the pollution means we have no oxygen, do you think within 50 years we'll all be wearing a little helmet supplied by oxygen?
Well, I don't know.
With oxygen.
Who knows? Are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Yes, I don't think though. I think those obviously those predictions.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
No, go on. Give your say.
You keep panning away. I mean,
sorry?
I'm trying to gather my thoughts, and you keep turning over to the building.
Well, I thought we show where we are.
Oh, I see, and then you come back to me.
Yeah, come back to you.
It won't pick up my voice if you.
Oh, okay, right. I'll point it at you then.
And you have to put it very close to whoever's talking.
Of course.
So why don't you get a statement from me, like, 2 sentences, and then do that?
Yes, I'll do that. Yeah, good idea. Yeah. No.
So I think that all the predictions about climate change are very dire and very, very frightening and upsetting because they are preventable. And the news this morning was that the European Investment Bank is no longer going to invest in fossil fuels. So this is a huge
that's
step.
good.
So it's the way is being shown, the way forward is being shown partly very much by the Labour policy at the moment. If you look at the history of how politicians have voted over climate change legislation, you'll find Jeremy Corbyn on 93% and Boris Johnson on 0%. So he's voted against.
Sorry, my dog's wandering off. Just 3% and. Do you mind pushing? Yeah.
So the first thing we must do is vote Labour. If we don't,
what about
this
Green?
whole movement will go. Green is good too. This whole movement will go back to where it started, because there will be no interest in any legislation to protect the.
So we're here for
from
Blackrock
climate change.
because they have
Yeah,
just.
we're here for Blackrock, so we have to alter the investment structure and revalue the meaning of money. I think ultimately, as a means of exchange and a means of value, and somehow reconnect the value of money with preservation and conservation and climate and prevention of climate change. Otherwise, money will continue to work against the planet.
So we will end up with little caps around our head where we have to pay for oxygen.
I think that's just silly to think in those terms, because we don't know. That's just like maybe not. Who knows? I think it's more important to think in terms of what we can do now to prevent carbon emissions, changing the climate.
So why isn't everyone using electric cars? I mean, they don't have to pay for it. They can plug them in the house. They're now changing it that they can be charged for 200 miles. I don't know how many miles it is. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Or use public transport. Use electric public transport. Holland, the railway system in Holland is renewable.
Are you Dutch?
No.
I love Holland. It's my favourite country in the world.
Yeah.
But apparently, I found out recently, most houses are only allowed to have 2 cars in the drive. They're only allowed to have 2 cars, but most of my...
In Holland?
No, in England.
Yeah.
But over here, people have 5 or 6 cars, and they put them even on the road.
Well, not so many people have 5 or 6 cars, but I mean, I suppose some
Look
people
what she does, she's twisting around.
But yeah, I mean, maybe there should be more control over what how much carbon people emit as individuals. That's what I would want.
Control,
Each person has a carbon.
Each family should only have 1 car, and they should be electric.
Yeah,
it's
or you
ridiculous.
could choose to have a car or not to have a car, or choose to have a holiday or not to have a holiday, or choose to buy pumpkins from Chile if you think that's essential to your life. But each time you emit carbon, you should have a debit.
Okay, I'll interview other people now about the Blackrock, why we're here.
Oh, why we're here? Sure. What, from now on?
Yeah, I'm filming.
Hello, I'm Matt from the Stop Ecocide campaign, and I'm here because it's basically one of the most appalling disgraces that Larry Fink, the CEO of Blackrock, and therefore captain of the ship.
Nice surname, Fink. It sounds like something out of an American comedy.
It's good for limericks, but it's appalling. It's a disgrace that his organisation are the major contribution to fossil fuel exploration and Amazon deforestation and exploitation. Meanwhile, he's on the board of Nature Conservancy, which is just ridiculous. It's like getting Jimmy
Well, this is
Savile.
what they're all doing. This carbon where they offset their emissions by buying in nature projects. It was even that man, the one who owns Benetton and all that kind of stuff, and it's an excuse.
Well, it's greenwashing.
Greenwashing, yeah.
Trying to paint your darkened soul white or green, or whatever it might be. And the two are ridiculous side by side, him being on Nature Conservancy. It's like giving with one hand and blow-torching with the other. It's not even...
The whole thing, that's the way it's all going. It's all corrupt. I mean, it shouldn't be allowed in the first place.
Oh, completely. And I suppose, fundamentally, I'm here to raise awareness of the Stop Ecocide campaign, which is this. And our movement is about enshrining ecocide as the 5th crime against peace under the Rome Statute, and we stand a very good chance of doing that, and that's going to be a big splash when it happens. And even before it happens, it's going to be a major steer for corporations to do the right thing, because they will find themselves complicit in crimes against the planet. Ecocide. And with ecocide being illegal, you can arrest CEOs like Larry Fink in any jurisdiction in the world that is signed up to the Rome Statute. So members of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, you can arrest in any country that is a member, and a good example is General Pinochet being arrested by Spanish lawyers in the UK for crimes against humanity. So the same will be true for ecocide once that is enshrined under international law, and so that's why I'm here to raise the profile of that, but also just to show support for Extinction Rebellion and to show support for the indigenous
So do you want to hold that up a little bit longer?
Yeah, there you go.
So I didn't mean Benetton, I meant the North. What's it called? The North, the one who bought that on South America.
Nordrup, I don't know. The North Face.
North Face, that's
North
it.
Face.
Yeah. So not Benetton.
Puffer jacket.
In case I offend anyone.
Well, yeah. So that's pretty much it. And I think quite a lot of people are going to come here across the rest of this afternoon. Here's your doggy back.
You're not interested, are you? You're not interested. That's the most the police have to do today, that's for sure. That's all they'll have to do today.
Marshal the dog.
Is marshal the dog. See, you've got your own 20 staff handmaids there.
Of course, yeah. I'm happy.
You're interrupting important... Oh, can I have one as well? Yeah.
Of course, absolutely. I'm here to give these out.
Okay, so shall I put it on pause and see if anyone else wants to be interviewed? Thank you very much. Are you from Australia?
No, do I sound Australian?
No, you look Australian.
I don't know what looking Australian. You're sort of muscular and brown. I wish.
Okay, I'll put it on pause, see if there's anyone else. They're already making oxygen, or
They're not making oxygen, but there's a French bank that has massive machines in Marylebone Station that are sucking the air in and cleaning it. Meanwhile, all the trains are sat there, revving their engines and sending loads of diesel. So it's, again, one hand takes away, one hand gives. And then we're supposed to think everything's all right. And then we're supposed to bank with it. I can't even remember what the name of the bank is, but they're a French
NBNP?
bank. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's NBNP. So, yeah, I mean, good for them for sucking the air out and cleaning it. But how about turning all the diesel engines off and making them all electric?
Well, why don't people just buy? I mean, it should be bottoms up. We should all say, okay, I'm not going to buy a car. I'm going to use an electric car, which is very easy. Or I'm just going to use public transport. Why does everyone...
I think that's
the problem is the people like us who are being green and environmentally friendly, we're already born that way. There's not many, and we just keep on doing that. But the people who are actually doing the damage, they're not really being affected by this. It makes it sound like things are changing, but I mean, they're changing too slowly, and they're not really changing that much, not enough.
It reminds me of something Al Gore said. Yeah. It reminds me of something Al Gore said when he was doing his broadcast interview before his second film went out in the cinemas. And he said he'd been talking to an old economist who said...
I know, she does it all the time.
Got snagged up there.
She puts the lead all around my legs. Anyway, yeah.
He'd been talking to an old economist who said things always take longer to change than you think. But when they change faster than you think.
Really? Well, we'll be all gone. We'll just disappear off the face of the earth or something.
What's that?
Well, we'll just die if we don't change something, we'll just die anyway. So the human species...
Change,
when things change. You mean like...
much faster than you think. So all curves are exponential, right? All developmental curves are exponential. You know, it seems like nothing's happening for a long time.
Really?
But because it's exponential, you know, the final
Yeah,
upward part of
it's
the curve is very steep.
very steep.
And you know, this is the way things have changed all throughout.
Yeah, well,
attitudes
if humans disappear off the face of the planet, then it will be very steep because the global, the world was.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's
You're talking
when
about
the
change in
curves
general, yeah.
collapsed and finished, and you know, I'm talking about our attitudes as a culture.
Attitude, yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope you're right because I mean, I've been telling people for 30 years, you know, they call me Mrs. No Bag and everything, and everyone makes fun of me, and I did a degree in environmental management for that reason, and it really pisses me off. I'm always right about things purely because I only say something if I'm sure that I'm right, and now it really annoys me, like, how come I've been treated like I'm mad about these things for 20, 30 years, and now all of a sudden it's in all the papers.
Yeah, but look at all kind of changes in society and consumer patterns. For example, yogurt. Take yogurt and yoga.
Everything's there, hopefully.
In the 1960s,
Yeah.
if you ate yogurt or you did yoga,
You're mad.
you were mad.
Really?
Yeah, I gave my dad some yogurt once in about 1968 or something, and he ate it and he went, ugh. It was like sour milk. But you know, it's everybody.
I've had yogurt today with cocoa and honey for breakfast.
Yeah, but what my point is that things become acceptable, which people used to think were mad.
Yeah.
But it takes a process of time. My late wife, used to work for Butler Cox in the 80s. It's a management consultancy, and they said, if you want to predict future trends, look at the inner directed section of society. What they're doing now, everybody will be doing in 10, 15
I'm just worried that all this talk is actually hype and it's not actually happening. I mean, they're going on and on about changing no bags. In the meantime, every single thing we eat in the supermarket has a big, huge plastic bag around it.
Yeah, everything is wrapped in plastic.
They're emphasizing,
all made of plastic.
They're emphasizing one little thing, that they're not going to sell as many bags. I mean, in Holland, they pay you for the bottles and the bags. You know, they're not changing.
Well, you know, plastic is a wonderful thing. It increases the shelf life of a cucumber 10 times if you shrink wrap it in plastic. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. So what we've got to be concerned about is not stopping using it, because our economy would collapse if we did that. We have to be concerned about how we dispose of it. It's fantastic stuff until you dispose of it.
Dispose of it.
So we need to be focusing on disposal.
Yes.
You know, there are various things we can look at. We can look at bacterial digestion, Legionella sacchariensis.
Yes, the ones that they do it very quickly. Yes.
That can be scaled up. Looks like we've got the Samba van coming.
Or we could just plant carrots in the street. Like you look down the road and there's all these empty areas and there's nothing planted. There's no vegetables or anything.
But you know, all these things have to be scaled up. You're talking about electric cars and the fact that, you know, people are increasingly getting the message that the internal combustion engine is a bad thing, and they're increasingly seeing it as an ethical choice to go for electric, and you know, that's a cumulative process.
So I might have to film these people over here. What's your name?
Dirk Campbell.
Dirk Campbell. Thank you. Thank you, Dirk.
All right, my pleasure.
Whee! Look at it. Here, you come over here. education campaign in the world or something.
All right, something to do with Blackrock.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What shall we do?
She's got me going. Oh, you can come with me.
Look at my dog. Let her go.
It's fascinating.
I was going to bring her to Hampstead Heath. I found out this was on. A real baby in there.
Yep. There's a real baby in there.
Oh, isn't that nice? So why are you here? Any reason?
No, we're going to the Mansion House. We just came up for the day. We walk around London for fun.
No! Climate justice! No! you here for the protest?
Work next door.
What do you? Can I interview you?
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, what do you think of what's going on? I mean, do you think we'll end up in 50 years wearing little things on our head with oxygen, and then because all the trees have been...
We might all be wearing burqas and hijab for 50 years. I don't know about oxygen.
Well, if there's no trees and there's too much pollution, then there won't be any oxygen.
The ocean is actually the lungs of the planet. But there is carbon dioxide does also increase the acidity at sea level, which will have an impact on the gaseous composition of the...
Why?
I think there's a lot going on, and these protests seem... It's weird. It's weird how so many people, like this, has managed to upset so many people, and it's not like the people in the offices that are having the protests that seem kind of annoyed by this. It's like the everyday person on the street that really should be on the side. So
it's the same people,
this is pretty harmless. Everyone will come out and get involved in this. Let's be honest, no one really likes Blackrock. We could all do without big banks. There's much better ways to run in things. But,
so you're saying
I think the disruption to the transport, and when you stop doing the everyday person doing their thing, you don't really win too many friends.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't know if it's the same people doing the protests all the time, which is the way for the meeting point for the people who are... Maybe this is a way to make people more aware of what's going on, and then you can find a kind of merging point where everyone can kind of come together with some solutions rather than it has to be pointed out in a drastic manner. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's another thing. I mean, I think everyone's acutely aware that there is myriad of environmental issues that need addressing. But I don't see anyone over there with an answer saying what we should do instead.
Well, I mean, maybe I'll ask them that when I'm interviewing them, but
because that's...
Well, I mean, for example, I was making the point, where I live, every family has 5 cars, and they're not even supposed to have 5 cars in the drive, they're only supposed to have 2. And then none of them has thought of having electric, so people should actually be taking their own responsibility to do something to contribute, because they're actually causing the problem in the first place. Blackrock wouldn't exist if it wasn't for people needing fossil fuel or,
I think they're very big and they have a diverse asset portfolio. So I think, these guys, they'll be just as happy to invest in green energy.
Yeah. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll change. But they just took on a new deforestation project. That's what this is about.
A deforestation project?
One of the largest. That's what this is about, apparently.
Oh, right. Where's that?
I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about it. I found out about this at the last minute. It's the largest. Well, I suppose it's in South America. It's something about their CEO, Mr. Flint, not Flint. A funny name. He's also offsetting his emissions with the, so-called green projects, but it's always the same with all the companies, isn't it? Anyway, I better switch this off because I'm talking a lot of bollocks.
Yeah.
Leica! Stop disturbing the policemen!
Three. Wow.
Yeah, we were on
Getting a
our.
good old explore today, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Did I interview you? I haven't interviewed you yet.
Oh, I don't think I've got